The only one worth telling was that the 50 Ford. It was a very clean car when I bought it, and hadn't been tormented or anything. Really nice. And I'd learned the speed shift by that time, and this guy pulled up next to me. They had Kellogg and hydraulic, and he was reaching forward, revving his motor and everything, and I thought, okay, I'll take you. And the light changed, and we took off, and before I could get second gear, the lights behind me were going flash, 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 you know. So I let off the gas, and the other car kept going. And then the car that was flashing behind me pulled up and passed me, and it was a cop. And he pulled those guys over, and before I could get to Grove, I'd slowed down, and I was going to turn off at Grove. The cop had the guy pulled over, and he was going like this to me. And I thought he was waving, you know. He was pulling me over, but I didn't go over. And I turned north on the Grove and made a couple of, I was trying to get away, you know, only without speeding. And this cop, he caught me turning at the first intersection, and then the next one, you know, he pulled up alongside me and stopped me and said, go back where the car's parked. So I drove back where the other car's parked, and it wasn't there. And he said, well, he said, you got lucky tonight, because I'm going to find those other guys, and they're going to get a ticket, or else they're going to go to jail for leaving. He said, you just go on and mind your own business tonight, and be careful. Okay. I went out to Greenwich Road. It's where they said some cars were getting together, and about a dozen guys out there with nice looking cars, some hot rods, you know, chopped and stuff. And this guy, I told him that I'd never been here before, and my old Ford's just stock. He said, well, pull up there, and I'll pull up next to you, and we'll give it a run and see what happens. And he said, all I've done in my car is take the fan belt off. I said, okay. I said, no. When that guy over there gives you the hand signal to take off, we'll go. And he said, give it everything you got. So I laid rubber in low, I laid rubber in second gear, and before I could shift to high, that guy went by me, and that old 37 or 38 Ford, I don't know what it was. And I didn't know a car could go that fast. It's taking the same fan belt off.
Let's go back to that one.
Okay, there's a kid at Carswell Air Force Base, had a 50 model, 88 old coupe. It was all black, good looking car. And a couple of times we'd come off the base together and got over onto the highway. Is that 183?
By Settlement Road.
It seemed like a highway. Anyway, a couple times we'd pulled out there together, and he'd taken off, and I wasn't taking him like I thought I would or should. And there's an old man over there, just off base, that used to tune up cars for the Lake Worth. There's a race outfit over there. And they were mostly foreign cars that raced, you know, Jaguars, Porsches and stuff. And
Mr. White. Mr. White.
Mr. White, yeah. I think at that time he was about 60 years old or so. But he didn't have the fancy stuff to tune up cars like they do today with testers and stuff. He tuned them up by ear, what it sounded like, how it felt. And the next 3 or 4 week went by, and the O's and I got together again, and I took him pretty good. That old Ford really run good. It was I assume it was a full race flathead V8 with Mallory ignition, dual point distributor. It had overdrive, but of course I wouldn't do any good in a drag race. But when I had my 51 Ford Coupe, I never raced it here in town. It was after I was in the service, and I wasn't here much. But I picked a few cars out, and people in town were getting to know the 51 Ford in Fort Worth. And I had a bunch of kids around it one night. I come out of the theater, I'd gone to a movie by myself. And a bunch of kids were standing around there, and they'd written in the dust in that dirt parking lot all sorts of things in the dust on that car. And I was fearing because a couple of the kids were my size. They were teenagers, and more than two of them, but there was about 8 or 10 kids there. And I thought, am I going to make it to my car, or am I going to have to fight my way in there, or what, you know? And they were all bad-mouthing me in the car, and I got in and started. It wasn't even locked, you know, back then. And I started up in, like I said, it was a dirt lot, and these guys were yelling at me, dig out, you jerk, and all sorts of things. I dug out and sprayed dirt and gravel all over the guys, and felt pretty good about it. But I thought, what if they see me on the street someday? Because the car was pretty identifiable.